I always believe in the philosophy that nobody is an adversary, nobody is a foe, nobody is an enemy. It is how you manage your relationship with people. And that is how I think that is the biggest strength God has given me.
आई थिंक आपने आचार्य चाणक्य को समराइज करके सारी दुनिया को दिखा दिया है कि दैट दिस वन लाइफ दैट यू एंड मी स्पेंड कैन बी डन इन अ मोस्ट एक्सीलेंट मैनर. After 1950 he had the option, and I belong to desert, so my grandfather said कि तू वहां काम मरेगा, वापस आ जा, तू मतलब डेजर्ट का आदमी पानी में जा रहा है यार, तू वापस आ.
एंड व्हाट लुक्स लाइक इज के इन्होंने एक जाने ने इसके बदला लेने के लिए या इसको थोड़ा डाउन करने के लिए मुझे हमें स्टेन इसने ना इस लेक में फेंक दी.
Oh, what a personal example, sir. I'm sure the corporate guys who listen to this would hereafter jump into every complex situation themselves first.
When they asked me, sir, the post commander asked me, sir, कैसे तुम मैं कहा cut the body.
Oh,
Yes.
oh God.
So we had to cut his legs, both legs, and apart, itna itna his baju. And then we rolled it up and put it in the helicopter.
Namaskar, Jai Hind. Sir, heartiest welcome to you. The
Thank
personality,
you.
the personality sitting in front to me and all of you is one which is very unique, very impressive, and a very good combination of a soldier, a scholar, a management guru, and you call one in all. So
Uh,
here is
Thank you.
I present Brigadier Bedi, who's my uh, senior veteran, my regiment, and I take pride in inviting you, sir, to this podcast. And together with you, I intend extending a lot of positivity to the next generation. Sir, heartiest welcome.
Thank you, Jeevan, very much. I think your thought of getting me to do this little program with you is a great honor for me. Yeah, we go back to our great regiment where we have served together, and we are the proud veterans of today. But more special occasion is that now we are interacting as veterans, and I am here, privileged to be on your program, oblique show, whatever you call it.
वंडरफुल सर, वंडरफुल. आपकी ना वो पुरानी आदत जाती नहीं है. You have been at the top of everything that you do, and you do in such an excellent manner that I'm sure all of us together, all the audience would enjoy your talk, sir.
Even you see, the God has been very kind. It is not what I am done or what I have been. I think it just comes naturally to me that I am very dedicated and committed to people, and I always believe in the philosophy that nobody is an adversary, nobody is a foe, nobody is an enemy. It is how you manage your relationship with people, and that is how I think that is the biggest strength God has given me.
आई थिंक आपने आचार्य चाणक्य को समराइज करके सारी दुनिया को दिखा दिया है कि दैट दिस वन लाइफ दैट यू एंड मी स्पेंड कैन बी डन इन अ मोस्ट एक्सीलेंट मैनर. राइट सर?
I No, that is fine. Not I have actually formally never read Chanakya, but yes, experts excerpts of which one does read here and there. But as I mentioned to you, it just comes naturally. Maybe
सर,
God is so kind to me.
गॉड इज काइंड एंड इट्स योर हार्ड वर्क. लीडरशिप ओवरनाइट नहीं आती है, और मैंने तो चाणक्य पढ़ा है. मैं अर्थशास्त्र पढ़ाता हूं सर, ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन, एंड सो आई कैन clearly foresee large number of those principles which I have seen and followed you in your life, and I've learned so much on those accounts from you.
Oh, thank you very much for your kind words. Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
go ahead and let the audience enjoy your expertise in different forms.
Yes.
Um, you put in over 36 years of service with the single most profound focus on your leadership, your uniform, and your operating in the most complex environments, if I may say. Would you like to say what that one single moment is which, or that one decision, or which person or a situation, either way, is that one aspect that has shaped your life as a leader and as a human being?
Uh, Jeevan, before I actually specifically talk about that incident or that personality, I just want to give you a little background of myself. You see, I have been very fortunate that I got educated in a public school, and that is the Punjab Public School Nabha, where the entire training was oriented towards getting into the services. So, therefore, right from beginning, one had that in mind that one day I will become a service officer. But what is more important than that is that I don't know very many people in my regiment does know that I am a third generation uh, army man in the family.
Double thumbs up.
Yeah, my grandfather was from the Royal Supply Corps. He was in the British Army, and he was at that point of time, as you know, senior Jamadar major. As those ranks that they were there. And then my father, after doing his engineering, he joined the Royal Survey Corps,
Wow.
the British Army again. But then when the Indian Army got demobilized in during independence, so his unit got demobilized, and therefore he had to come into the civil stream. So that is why I feel that going into the defense services was a pre-decided destiny for me.
Phenomenal.
Uh, it was providence, yes. But then what turned and what shaped into its actual decision was that in my school, we were all supposed to go to the NDA, you know. But during our time for the senior Cambridge, the commerce stream got sanctioned from Oxford University. So the headmaster, he excused NDA to us and
Oh,
said that you 14 chaps will now go and do commerce.
okay.
And when I know what to do at that point of, unlike now where, parent, teachers, everybody has a lot of interaction, that time all that thing was not there. So I had no choice but to join and finally had to come and start doing my graduation
Oh,
in commerce.
right.
But one fine day, while we were, in college, my father in one evening, he was seeing all these things happening. So he says, Beta, actually, I had put you in Punjab Public School Naba so that you join the services. And how proud I would have felt if you had gone to the services rather than doing this accountancy. And
Right.
that's it, Jeevan. That is it.
Wow.
I said, Dad, if that is the case, I'm going to the army. And the
Wonderful.
next day, at that point of time, I'd already missed the opportunity. And for going to the IMA, you had to be a graduate. So the only option was with me to go to the OTS or the Officer Training Academy, which is known as now. And next day, I went to the station headquarters, filled up the form, and within 6 months, I was already interviewing and going for the SSD. So
What
that was the decisive moment. The emotion of my father that he felt very proud that I should have gone to the army.
Sir, I'll love to quote the same. You are third generation. I'm a second generation officer.
Oh,
My
good.
father was in Royal British Navy.
Wow.
Way back in 1945, he joined as a sailor in,
Hmm.
it was then called HMIS Talwar. It was a
Oh, yes.
training.
Hmm.
And after 1950, he had the option, and I belong to desert. So my grandfather said कि तू वहाँ काम मरेगा वापस आ जा तू मतलब डेजर्ट का आदमी पानी में जा रहा है यार तू वापस आ
Yeah,
जा
folks always used to think that way.
तो फादर ने कहा ओके ऐसी बात है तो वापस आ जाता हूँ ही केम बैक
Hmm.
बट इन हार्ट ऑफ हार्ट व्हेन वी ग्रो अप ही यूज्ड टू टेल अस कि
Hmm.
बेटा हमारा एक ना वो नेवल कैप्टन होता था वो ऐसी बातें करता था और तब
Hmm.
मुझे लगता था कि क्या ही अच्छा होता अगर मेरा कोई बेटा फौज में चला जाता
Wow.
दैट वाज द टर्निंग पॉइंट
Good point.
सो व्हाट यू सेड व्हाट स्पार्क्ड वाज हिज इमोशन
Yes.
is what that one word from dad that sparked the emotion And that was the end of it. I went to Sainik school, ND, and blah blah. Then the rest all is you and me know, sir.
yes, yes.
But it is phenomenal to see the way you have carved out yourself from, say, academics to the officership and joining Jackrif Regiment. And you are one of those proud officers who have seen uniform right from early days. So, what is it that you recollect from your early days of uniform about the life as such, humanity as such, and leadership that like to share?
Jeevan, you see, when we joined that time, there was a lot of euphoria and people used to take a lot of pride in joining the services, as you know. And so when that idea of wearing the uniform, dawned on me, so the pride swelled. And everybody, your peers, your relatives, suddenly from a simple lad or one of those cousins who's studying in college, you transform into a hero.
Wow.
And that is the kind of feeling. In fact, I don't know, during our time, people first preferred the army, then IPS or the IAS.
Absolutely. How did your
The,
father feel, sir?
so I
जिसके
told you,
जोश में आप चले थे.
so when I got selected, I mean, he was overjoyed.
Wow.
He possibly felt that his ultimate desire in life has been met.
Fantastic. Nothing could have been
And
better.
that is one thing. But then the environment around, and as I told you that, unlike very many people and like you've gone to the NDA and like that. So there's a continuous, 4 years of being in the NDA, coming back home, people seeing you. In our case, it was just a 10 months training. So
Absolutely.
within 10 from months from a normal a student in the college, I donned uniform.
From undergrad to star.
You know, so that transformation was at times unbelievable.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It was very unbelievable. And you had to sort of control yourself, your emotions, your thought process in such a manner that you did not want to be overbearing, yet you didn't want to be too submissive. And that to maintain that balance and at that young age of 20 years was a difficult thing to do.
Now that you mentioned, and I know that you're two generation defense services officer, how did this versus the life in uniform in the unit shape your growing up in the unit as a leader, as a officer?
Uh, uh, Jeevan, what happened was that I joined my unit in Sikkim. And so I always consider that your first posting or first place where you go, it impacts your life thereafter. And that is what happened exactly. So you see now, the place where I got posted is Nathula, which is a very famous pass. And today it's a very under a lot of spotlight because there are a lot of meetings which happen, and there is a lot of facilities. The roads have come up. The civilians are going. It's more of a tourist spot. People go there for vacation, tourism. Everything is happening. But at that time, it was a very remote place, very secretive, and you not believe that we used to from Siliguri go all the way to Sikkim in 3 days.
Oh,
Yes. And at times the officer bus used to be full, so we used to travel in 3 tons.
oh,
And Gangtok was one place where we had to stop. And what actually, that feeling or that shaping up that took place was that our battalion was deployed on very difficult posts. So initially, itself, one got into the fire, as you can say.
right.
And therefore, that initial training and that, breaking the ice, which the normal corporate world does by having a social or going out for a drink or something. This breaking the ice took place in very adverse situation. It was very cold. The mountains were very high, and the adversary was also very, very cunning, and it was an eyeball to eyeball deployment.
Any
So one
incident that
had a
you like
very
with us,
and,
which
and that's why it was a very, very good induction, which I think shaped my life later.
and any specific incident that you like to share with us?
You see, one incident I want to share that from my unit, I was told to go to be part of a. There used to be an ammunition dump at a height of nearly 5,000 meters. So this was an isolated post, and so what to do? Again, I was used to the college life and everything. So suddenly I'm placed, with 30 men. And at that time we didn't have any TV. There was no WhatsApp. There was no social media. It was just the radio that we had, the transistor. And I still remember that in the canteen we used to get the Philips transistor.
Phillips transistor.
And
Open
since
transistor.
our pay was just 750 rupees, so we could, and that transistor I still remember used to cost 450 rupees.
Very
And to do that, we had to take a loan from the vet canteen, our unit bania, so that we had to pay him,
expensive.
after
Oh,
in a year or so. So that is the only source of entertainment. But well, coming back to the incident, you see what happened was that uh, somehow I was told one day at night, and there was a lake, in the vicinity of where we stayed. So I was told, okay, sir, a patrol had gone and they have lost a weapon, a stain gun. Now, no, losing a weapon in the army is absolutely unacceptable. It is
unacceptable.
a sacrilege. It has got a lot of connotation. You can't lose a weapon. Anyway, so I got hold of the Subedar Saab, who was the platoon senior JCO, and so he frankly came up to me. मैं कहा साहब ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि पेट्रोल गया and we lost a weapon. तो he said sir, मुझे आपको सच बताना है कि ना ये एक दो लड़कों के आपस में शरारत है. एंड व्हाट लुक्स लाइक इज कि इन्होंने एक जाने ने इसके बदला लेने के लिए या इसको थोड़ा डाउन करने के लिए मुझे हमें स्टेन इसने ना इस लेक में फेंक दी है.
Oh,
So now I said, yeah, this is a very, very, now whom do I tell? Because I was attached to an artillery unit, and through that, CO was, somewhere else, and I was somewhere else. तो मैंने कहा भी कुछ सोल्यूशन तो ढूंढना पड़ेगा. तो मैंने कहा, कहते साहब फिर ये तो सर अभी सुबह ये है कि इसको हम ढूंढेंगे, पता करेंगे एंड ऑल दैट. मैं कहा नहीं साहब, सुबह नहीं करेंगे, जो होगा अभी होगा. तो
wonderful.
कहते सर तो इसमें तो अभी अभी रात है, ये है. मैंने कहा नहीं ऐसा है. थैंकफुली इट वाज अ मूनलिट नाइट. तो मैंने कहा साहब ऐसे करते हैं, इस लेक में अभी चलेंगे. कितनी दूर फेंक सकता है वेपन? भाई लेक में कोई ऐसे तो है नहीं स्टेन इतनी दूर के 200 गज फेंक देगा.
Right.
मे भी फेंकी होगी 20 25 30 गज के पास या ऐसे ही. तो एंड आई सेड कि इफ दीज गेट दीज टू बॉयज. सो वी गॉट दीज टू बॉयज आइडेंटिफाइड. मैंने बोला बच्चों अभी तुम इस लेक में घुस जाओ, दोनों जाने, और जाके हथियार ढूंढ के लो. Now these chaps, it was freezing freezing temperature. तो they knew कि ये बड़ी मर जाएंगे इधर. you know so they said कि sir ये whatever that hesitation and all. So I caught hold of both of them and I walked into the lake with them myself.
Wow.
And you will not believe it, Jeevan, that moment they stepped in, it was
Mhm.
so freezing cold. कहते सर सॉरी 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 बताते हैं सर हथियार का है.
Mhm.
एंड लो एंड बिहोल्ड, सो दिस चैप सेड कि सर मैंने इसको झूठ झूठ बोल दिया सूबेदार साहब को मैं ना ऐसे ही इसको, क्योंकि ये मेरे से झगड़ा, गांव में कोई हमारे आपस में झगड़ा वगड़ा है, तो उसका बदला लेने के लिए मैंने इसका हथियार छुपा दिया है, और वो जो पुराना पत्थर है उसके नीचे पड़ा है। सो सो दैट वाज अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट मूवमेंट एंड अ डिफाइनिंग मूवमेंट। एंड आई जस्ट बिकॉज आई फर्स्ट थॉट दैट दे विल गो themselves, but when I saw they were not going, I said, तुम, मैं भी चलता हूँ तुम्हारे साथ।
Wonderful.
This is how. And moment they went into the water, as I told you, they came out with the truth.
What a personal example, sir. I'm sure the corporate guys who listen to this would hereafter jump into every complex situation themselves first. No,
Yes.
before their team gets into the trouble, if you
Yes.
can do it, I think trouble gets sorted out.
No, the two things in introspection, what I thought was that one was that of my decision of not letting the situation, be pending for a 24 hours or 12 hours.
Absolutely.
I said, अभी पता लगा है, अभी इसका solution ढूंढना है।
Wonderful.
I can't wait.
Wonderful. Let
हाँ, कोई
me,
भाई बिस्तरा गिर गया, कोई बूट गिर गए, दैट्स फाइन, दैट्स लॉस्ट, इज नथिंग लॉस्ट।
yeah,
वेपन लॉस्ट मीन्स
you can't afford that.
अनएक्सेप्टेबल।
Yeah.
तो
And
देयर
sir,
फॉर दैट क्विक डिसीजन के मैंने तो अभी ढूंढना है सफदर साहब, आज ही, अभी, नाउ। दैट इज वन। एंड सेकेंडली मैंने आई फाउंड कि ये अपने आप तो जा नहीं रहे, तो फिर
yeah,
मैंने कहा चलो भाई, दोनों कोई बाजू पकड़ी, मैं चलो तुम्हारे साथ, मैं भी चलता हूँ, फिर पकड़ना आज निकालनी तो है ही है यहाँ से।
from that lake till commanding a unit, you went over large number of experiences in field and peace and all,
Yes.
and you commanded two units,
Yes.
including one in Kargil. Would you
Yes.
like to share your experiences of commanding two units? You are one of those very rare
Yes.
Jackal officer to have commanded two regular units,
Yes.
and that too one in Kargil. Any of your experiences on the command of two units, and then I'll talk about Kargil, sir.
Uh, yeah, you see, in the infantry, which is the basic arm of the army, basic fighting arm, which for my corporate friends, I would like to say, is the front runner, you know. So, uh, and so therefore, there is, you get into a particular unit, whether it is a Sikh unit, Jackrif unit, Maratha unit, or whatever, and you grow up in that unit. You are commissioned into that unit, then you go out for doing some staff duties, you go out for some ERE duties, you may go on a foreign posting, but then you fall back to that same unit. So it's something like a home. And as we all feel very secured at home, so every officer tends to feel secure in his own battalion.
Very true.
And therefore, everyone wants to command that same unit. For
Logical.
reasons well known, because you know the officers, you know the JCOs, you've grown up with them, you've been a captain, you've been a major, then you've been a lieutenant colonel, and
Yeah.
you've been under happy, sad moments, all told. So I was very fortunate that I got my own battalion, that is the 12th Battalion of Jammu Kashmir Rifles, to command.
Wow.
And this was after we did a tenure in the Southern Glacier. We came back in Dehradun, where I took over, and I commanded for full 3.5 years. Uh, and so, and Dehradun is known to be a very, very busy station as far as training is concerned, because our operational areas are much farther away towards the western border, and so majority of the time we are out in the deserts only. And we get very little time to stay in Dehradun per se. And so then there are various responsibilities of the families, peacetime duties, vagara, vagara, which is part of the infantry unit, day-to-day routine. So that was a very, very, it was not a very easy command. And so therefore, it was quite challenging for me. And again, God was kind. I must owe it to my troops, to my officers, my team, my JCOs, that in that tenure, out of 14 core competitions, 14, we won 13.
Kya baat.
And the battalions did so well. And the only competition that we lost was something on an education program in Hindi. Some competition at the core level. And so therefore, that is why I thank my officers, my men, my team who made it happen. And therefore, after a complete command, I was picked up to do the long defense management course, which is normally a selected officers course. And God was kind, and that is how I would summarize my first tenure of my own battalion.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. It is very right to say that leader doesn't take the credit of the success. Leader gives the credit of the success to everybody else and takes the onus of any fault that comes in between. And I'm sure this would go as a phenomenal example with everyone who is aspiring to become a CEO or wanting to command 1,000 men and millions worth of property, weapons, etc. How about your command in Kargil, sir?
Yeah, that is again a very interesting story. You see, normally again for the consumption of the corporate world, you see, normally one commands one battalion, and then thereafter you get, like I said, I went on this course, and from there I got posted as on staff. That means in a headquarter, and I was posted in Ahmedabad. So normally, this staff tenure is about 2 years, and so after that, you go for another staff or you're due for your promotion, etc., and things happen that way. And also, if you're doing well in life, you've done well as a junior officer, so you are also picked up for some prestigious appointments, which may be like the DA in some foreign country or like that, or an instructor in a foreign academy. So normally that is what the news you expect. And it so happened that while I was there, I just completed 1 year, and the Kargil war started. So that was the time when we were also to mobilize to our operational area. So normally the officer who heads the signal communication branch, they are the first ones to get the news about your move, posting or whatever. And I remember it was 2nd or 3rd of April, and the CO, engineer regiment, engineer signal regiment, he rang me up. So he says, "Sir, your posting has come." I said, my posting has come because after 1 year doesn't, and we were going into an operation. Kargil had already happened. And all over the Indian army was being deployed on the western borders, and we were also going into that. I said, यार तो मैसेज यार 1 अप्रैल तो चला गया. समदर्शन शर्मा, आई रिमेम्बर हिज नेम. मैं कहा समदर्शन तू मेरा बेवकूफ मत बना भाई. 1 अप्रैल हो गया. Okay, and don't worry, you are already late. I hope you're not sleeping and thinking it is first. He said, no, no, sir, your posting has come. So now I said, posting has come. So as I mentioned just now, that you feel that somewhere else you're going. So he says, sir, you're going to Mamoon. I said, Mamoon? Mamoon is a place near Pathankot. So I says, Mamoon? But what? As what? He says, sir, as CO8 Jack. I said, what? I mean, अरे आई ऑलरेडी कमांडेड ए बटालियन. मैं कहा यार तेरा जोक बहुत ज्यादा हो गया, अभी तू ये छोड़ दे एंड टेल मी द ट्रूथ. ही सेड, नहीं सर, आई एम जस्ट कमिंग ओवर and I can show you the postings. So when he showed me the posting, I was quite surprised. So you see, we have somebody called the colonel of the regiment, and a very fine gentleman who was the adjutant general during the war, General S.S. Garewal. He was the colonel of the regiment. So I picked up the phone and rang him up. I said, sir, my posting has come. He said, हाँ हाँ पता है मैनू. कहता मैनू ही पता है, मैनू मैं ही कराई है. He was a very typical, very cool guy. So he said के मैं कहा sir, but मैं तो I've just spent one year here. And also, sir, मैं कहा only 2 days back I have put my children in school, and so if I move now, so He says, यार इन्फेंट्री में काका इन्फेंट्री ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੂਵ ਕਰਦੀ ਅਫਸਰ ਮੂਵ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ so I had no answer to that. He said ठीक है बच्चे the army takes care of the family and this is a war and the battalion is going to war and therefore you better move and I am now yeah the only thing I can give you is now the posting orders for 24 hours. I can give you 1 week to go. So that is how I went into the second command.
Right. Sir, tell us something more about your command in Kargil. Very interested. The whole world knows Kargil. Whole world knows Captain Vikram Batra. We want to hear your stories, your war experiences, and your second command experiences.
Uh, you see, when I was told to move to Kargil, within a notice of 24 hours, I was posted in an headquarter in Ahmedabad, and from there I was told to move, as I have just mentioned, and the circumstances earlier mentioned. And when I reached Mamoon, the unit was all ready, all set to move to Kargil. And within 1 week of a little bit of reorientation training and provision of some additional vehicles to us, we were moved and with instructions to go and report at Kargil. I don't know what happened. Possibly there was some other formation which was delayed, and because of which, and there was so much of mobilization going on at the Jindra TCP, that is somewhere in the northern sector, at a traffic control point. We were diverted. They said, no, no, no. Now you go and report elsewhere. So since we were a reserve formation, which means that we could be deployed anywhere in that entire core sector. So we went to another location. And when we went there, at that point of time, the Pakistanis had already started their mortar fires. Initially, it was totally restricted to Kargil area, but then they had activated the entire, line of control.
That was the Kargil war period of 99, sir, May 99 onwards.
Yes, yes. I've
Wow.
told you, because April I moved,
Yeah.
and within about 10-15 days of that
So
typical reorientation.
for better understanding of our audience, you moved from place A to Kargil within 1 week, leaving
Yes.
your family behind, taking the unit, and you were ready to take on the enemy thereafter.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
that's great.
And as I mentioned to you, okay, uh, though we initially got orders to go into Kargil proper, but on the way only because of the various other mobilization and change of plans and all, we were moved to another LC location. And what was most intriguing for me was that, whenever a unit goes, they go into bunkers, they go into proper shelters, that is what the people in the LC are. We were all on the open. And when we moved into that location, the enemy mortar fire started. And so that was a very kind of a precarious situation for us, because any mortar landing can cause a lot of heavy casualty. And then I had to tell the brigade commander that, sir, this is what is happening. And he also understood. So then we were, pulled back a little to a more safer place. And then we were slowly inducted into the existing battalion so that, we could go and be part of their defenses. So if there were four of them, two of my men.
So you all went into Kargil and in such a jiffy wherein mobilization was all over. It was a national emergency. The whole army was mobilized, and the way Pakistanis had come and taken over our areas was so surprising. In such difficult situations, you left everything behind and went on to the actual war. So that is where I'm interested in your narration of these stories and real war heroes who went unsung, most of them. But
Yes.
they did their task tremendous manner.
Even when we were mobilized, and as I mentioned to you, that we were told to go to Kargil, and that's where we were headed. And in between, we were told to go elsewhere because you see, in a situation, a warlike situation, a lot of different kind of emergencies crop up, and
Yeah.
so therefore we were sent for a different task, and that was very close to the line of control. And when we went there at night, and it is during that night itself that the Pakistanis had activated the line of control. It is not
Oh,
that they were only fighting in Kargil. So they
right.
had entirely activated the line of control. So, and you see, we were still in the open when we
Yeah.
went there. And it was providence that we escaped their fire. And that is all because of our, you know, because of our good drills, good, kind of protocols, as you would call them, that we were able to stabilize the situation.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And it is from that onwards, that night onwards, I had to immediately organize, various kinds of parties which moved everywhere to see. And let me tell you, all these areas, a lot of infiltration by the terrorists had taken place
Oh,
already. You
yeah.
see, so they were already there in that area. So
Mhm.
our threat was not only from the front, our
Right.
threat was from all over.
Right.
In fact, one of the interesting where when we were deployed after a week or so, one of the locals, faithful locals, came to us and he said, "Ke sir, flani dhani means a small little,
Joke.
place where these grazers or the Gujars live when they go up for grazing and all. So they normally in the local language it is called dhani or a Gujar hut, I would call it. So he said कि सर वहाँ दो अफगानी टेररिस्ट आए हुए हैं and within about 24 hours we were able to neutralize them, and we found later that they had proper signal equipment, they had radio sets, and they were directing the fire on our
Oh.
position,
Hmm.
and our action therefore led to the reduction of fire, and we were able to sort of protect a lot of our soldiers from being unnecessarily harmed.
So that must have been a very, very different change from a peacetime scenario to getting into action to enemy fire and neutralizing the terrorists. So in fact,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, you see, normally what happens is that you are facing an enemy which is firing on you from front.
yeah.
You don't encounter a situation where somebody from, you are deployed, you are sitting somewhere, you are functioning somewhere, and suddenly somebody from behind or from the side and from your local people,
And
you know.
in that scenario, uh,
Yeah.
the Pakistanis were on top, occupying the heights. We were
Yes.
on the difficult and disadvantageous locations below them, so they could see and fire. In these circumstances, how many such operations, offensive operations, or other operations your battalion took, sir? If you can give us some
You see,
information.
even in our case, what happened was that we, at that point of time, since they had already taken the initiative. So there were two things which were happening. One was that we were trying to evict them from wherever they were. And the second situation was that we were trying to find some kind of a location or a gap where we could go into their territory and turn the tables.
Right.
So then my battalion got tasked for that.
Oh, wonderful. So
And
that's a
therefore, the situation became even more difficult for us.
very true.
A, we were totally new to the area.
Mhm.
B, we, I mean, the bases were not secured. Wherever we had to go, as I mentioned, there was a threat of the terrorists, coming from the villages, coming from the mountains around. And also, three, that we had to plan for the attack should it happen.
Absolutely.
See, I'm going for a recce, and suddenly I find that yes, there is an opportunity. So that kind of logistics, that kind of firepower, coordination, So it was a double challenge for our battalion.
Tell me, sir, the Kargil, I'm sure, must have been a wonderful experience from operational point of view, but very difficult time, extremely difficult time. I can understand because prior to 99, we ourselves were in Dras. My unit was in Dras, and I had seen those initial issues and the war starting. From frying pan to fire, from
Yes.
commanding a battalion to commanding a brigade in Siachen. How was that experience, sir? And your unique challenges and lessons for us from your command of the brigade in Siachen, sir?
Jeevan, that again is another very interesting story. You see, normally people do one odd tenure on the Siachen Glacier. But I think God destined me to do three tenures on the Siachen.
They knew Hanuman kaun hai. Bhagwan ko malum tha. And they deployed Hanuman at the right place.
No, 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 no. I'm nowhere near the Lord Hanumanji, but I don't know. Firstly, when I was a captain at that time, I was posted there, and of course, we had at that time we were not that well equipped because that I'm talking of 79, and even the so-called Op Meghdut, which is the Siachen operation, had not started yet. But then the degree of difficulties was the same. The second time was when I was posted as the second in command of my battalion, that is 12 Jack, and we were in the Southern Glacier, and that is another tenure that I did.
I
So
know
I never expected that I would, go
12
back to the Siachen Glacier.
helicopter incident हुआ था, sir.
In
Helicopter incident.
Yes, yes, yes,
आप उसके उसके बारे में बताएंगे सर? Would you like to tell, because that's a
yes.
very interesting
You
uh,
see, so what happened was that my one night we were told that there are some, our front OP, they saw some, lights on the snow creeping up on the slope. And, we said, Acha, but that kind of a post was never manned, it was never held by anybody. So suddenly and that area belonged to us actually, but it was under our dominance. So by the time it was about, I think, 4 o'clock in the morning, we realized that they have creeped up and
okay.
they have occupied that area. And so now we had to throw them back. And what happened was that we immediately mobilized. And mobilizing people at 19 to 20,000 feet is not so easy. And
Absolutely.
that also at night, you know, and and it was quite dark. Anyway, our parties moved up to that position, and we were by daylight we were ready to take on the enemy. So the firing started from their end, and firing started from our end. That is the artillery and the mortars. We also could place our MMG on a vantage place and the RCLs also, RLs, that is the rocket launcher. And we started firing on them. You see, normally in the mountains, what happens is that when you have to climb a mountain or a difficult this thing, so you have a rope. So people carry on with a rope. And in any case, 4 or 5 people, when they all go together, they're called a rope itself because they're all tied up.
Yeah.
So along this rope, we found that there are about 60 to 80 of the Pakistanis. So we started having a shot at them. And now when they saw that, initially they thought that it was a success for them. And therefore their brigade commander, he there was a very dominating height on which they were able to uh, climb, and there was an artillery OP, that is observation post officer, who had come there, the Pakistani guys. So he was able to now very accurately bring fire on our posts. And so he must have given a report that we are under heavy enemy fire, and we are all sort of hell has broken loose with us. So he informed his brigade commander, "Okay, come and see it for yourself." So the brigade commander, out of bravado, he flew in a helicopter. And we had already, and before that, some recce helicopters had approached that post.
Okay.
So what we did was that in anticipation, we moved an anti-aircraft gun, one single man. I still remember the name of he was the AD gunner, air defense gun, Naik Devraj. So
Wow.
we moved him to a post called Jaswant, from where we could see the valley from where the helicopters fly. So, the moment he reached there, and lo and behold, so this the second chopper, which was of the which we later came to know was from of the commander. So, and in those areas, the helicopter always flies in a pair.
Yeah.
So the first helicopter came, he hovered, he came like this, and this boy he set his sights, and but then by the time that helicopter had gone. So when the second helicopter was approaching, and he had the intention of landing on a Manjeet post itself. So when he slowed his speed and was in a hover, so this boy, he shot and the Igla missile, which is the anti-tank, anti-aircraft missile, it hit and destroyed the helicopter. And
Lovely.
that turned the tide of the operation
Mm.
immediately.
Mhm.
So these people, they started, withdrawing. And by the time we also moved up a lot, we were able to bring on heavy fire on these people who were there in Manjeet OP. We were also able to move a patrol up, to seek them. And we did find them, dead on that post. And that is how we fought that operation. And
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can understand fighting such a battle at 20,000 feet because I myself have served in the area and I understand the nuances of that place. Now, I only served as a youngster like you, but you were the commander. Share that one memory as a brigade commander of that entire sector that you feel is the most touching, most rewarding, most professional, or which you very often recall.
Jeevan, actually, the Siachen Glacier is full of stories. Every day, every moment is
Yes.
is a is a different story, is a different challenge,
Yeah.
and especially as a brigade commander, though it is absolutely it's very phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, every day. Why? Because you, as your own experience, you also been on the glacier. So some people who are there in a particular sector, and for the audience or for the people who don't know, you see, the area of that brigade uh, in terms of kilometers is 219 kilometers. I mean,
Right.
so
At
that
that,
is the kind of extent
yeah.
at that height.
Yeah.
And so therefore, for a brigade commander to control and to be sensitive to every situation over 219 kilometers of total rugged terrain, and out of which 74 kilometers is pure, thick slab of ice,
Yes.
where men are moving up and down every day. So there are logistic problems, there are air maintenance problems, there are health problems, there are weather problems, there are enemy fire problems, there are day-to-day, accidents which take place. Then there are accommodation problems. Then there are people going out, coming in.
Any,
So,
anyone,
accidents, all
anyone
these things.
Anyone, like you made a mention of the helicopter incident. Any one incident where you found one or more soldiers did something unique, which you remember very often.
Jeevan, a lot of stories about the glacier and a lot of bravados. I cannot compare, one to the other. So I
Right.
leave it at that, but I would like to share a story which I think your corporate guys will relate to, and they take a lesson from here. Okay, it is what does it mean, and difference in perception of what they feel and what is actually on ground.
Right.
You see, once in again I want to set the context right. You see, when you are on the glacier, you go through, either you walk or there are helicopters which drops various your ration, fresh, etc., which is collected by men, and then at the places where there's pure ice and slab, that is where we have snow scooters. So basically, since Christmas has just gone past, you see, when Santa Claus goes with the reindeers, he goes on that sledge. So that, that is the kind of sledge, kind of a snow scooter is what we operate in. So one day, in the northern part of the glacier, uh, so I get a report from the company commander that, sir, our doctor is missing. I said, he's missing? What does it mean? He says, sir, he's gone down in the crevice. You see, what is a crevice? Crevice is an opening in the ice
Yeah.
because of various factors, basically climatic factors that, suddenly the ice cracks and it widens and keeps widening like that. And it can go over 200, 300 meters, it can go 40 meters wide, it's become a big kind of a khada, ice khada.
Yeah.
So I said, then I've got the reports that said there were two snow scooters. They were going to give rations to the forward post. So the company commander had gone the first scooter. He crossed, but when he looked back after some time, he find that the doctor. Why the doctor? Because you see, when we send fresh and sabzi etc. to the forward post, so the doctor also goes so that if there is anybody not well, there would be some, and it's a good morale boosting factor that a
Mm.
doctor has come to find out he go, nahi theek ho. These are all things that we have to care for in such adverse conditions. So he found that neither the doctor nor the scooter was there behind him. Very strange. So I said, how can it be? Then the immediate drill happens is that we, order the sorties to go and find out. So the helicopters went, they hovered around, nothing. But what we found was that the snow scooter, we could see a tail of the snow scooter on the crevice,
Oh God.
and there was no doctor.
Mhm.
And so then, let me tell you guys that it is just one small incident, but what I'm trying to tell you why this incident is because it has a lot of perceptual issues involved and emotional issues involved. So now this doctor happened to be from Bihar. His mother was some mayor of some city, I think Patna or a smaller city, and his father was also a doctor of repute. So they were well-known, established family. And when they got to know that their son is missing and his body is not being found, and what they got to impression was that he's met with a scooter accident on the snow.
Oh.
So
Sexual difference.
now, so since they were a little influential and they were willing to come to the glacier, normally nobody is allowed to come to the glacier. But then somehow, because you see, we are also all human being, and the army headquarters did permit them to come to Chandigarh. So from Chandigarh, their parents spoke to me. He said, "Sir, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है हमारा बच्चा?" मैंने कहा, भाई ऐसे है. It is not only, he is also very dear to me. He is my doctor. He is my son as of now. But I have an equal this thing. But let me tell you that we are still finding, but his body is not traceable. And what happened was that they said, sir, can you, because people are saying that only if the brigade commander gives permission, we can fly to Partapur, you know. So I said, okay, if you want to come, you come. I can only sort of, empathize with you and sympathize with you. So when they came, so now that is another risk I took. Now people are allowed in the base camp. That time, no civilian was allowed.
True.
But that parental emotion moved me so much. And they could not believe. मैंने उनको समझाया. मैंने कहा, सर, डॉक्टर साहब, मैडम, ये कोई वो स्कूटर नहीं था वो. दो पहियों वाला, जो कि गिरा, या रोड थी, मैं कहा ये इट इज वेंट इनटू अ crevice which can go anything up to 1,000 feet deep, and
Yeah,
even if you're there in that crevice for just 5 minutes, you just freeze to death.
absolutely.
But they won't believe it.
Mhm.
So, Jeevan, I don't mind sharing it, that I took them to the base camp. And base camp is our training camp. So there we have snow scooters, because we train everybody in their driving and crossing the crevice and all that. So I actually made them see, okay, how a scooter, it traverses a crevice.
Mhm.
And that was only a very small one. We make it ourselves actually. Basically, it is not a natural one. We make it for training purposes. You'll believe it. It is moment this people, and especially the mother, when she saw this, she burst out crying.
Mm.
Burst out crying. And I, as the brigade commander, I had no option, that I had to, I had also to hug them, both parents, and I cried with them for 15 minutes. It is thereafter
Yeah.
they realized कि यार हम क्या सोचते हैं और
True.
यहाँ क्या.
True.
And then they said, "Okay, sir, hats off to you guys that you are operating." And he said that we have today realized okay, what difficult situation that you guys are in. And it is so easy for us to sort of blame people कि देखो जी आर्मी ठीक नहीं ढूंढ रही, वो एक्सीडेंट हो गया, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि लाइफ बॉडी ना मिले, ये निगलेक्ट है, वो कमांडर ठीक नहीं है, फलाना नहीं है. And they said, sir, okay, henceforth, we are now very clear. Okay, you guys work under so much of adversity, and therefore, and you are equally concerned about the lives of your boys, of your officers, and we feel that every child is safe within your organization.
Sir, that's the precise reason why entire nation bows down to the Indian Army, Navy, and the Air Force. The kind of risks that, say, you took or others take in saving our own men on when it comes to fighting tooth and nail to drop the enemy. Those vagaries are unimaginable in the civil environment.
Yes.
What you explained, I'm sure people would get a glimpse of what life in Siachen is. आपने
One
तो
more, given one more incident, I like to. So
Yeah,
there was this again, a body had gone down in an avalanche.
yeah.
After 3 months, we found that body.
Hmm.
One of the patrols, they said, "Ke sir, wo hai." So we launched a helicopter evacuation because there's no other way. So, what we normally do is, and especially those areas, we go and make a temporary helipad so that the helicopter can land and then people just pick up the body and put it in the helicopter. Now, a situation arose where the helicopter went. So when they brought the body was like this,
Yeah,
the legs like this, and it was frozen like this.
yeah.
Now the helicopter is small, the body won't come, and we had to bring the body. We can't bring it on by the men and like that. So another decision that I took, and I got, I mean, some people felt that it was a very harsh decision, and some people actually, and especially the parents of that Jawan, thanked me that I took that decision. That at least they could do sanskar of the boy.
Yeah.
So when they asked me, sir, the post commander asked me, sir, कैसे तुम? मैं कहा, cut the body.
Oh,
Yes.
oh God.
So we had to cut his legs, both legs, and a part, itna itna his baju. And then we rolled it up and put it in the helicopter.
And they were all frozen.
It was frozen. The body was like that. All fours like this. When he must have fallen, no, in the ice, so he was frozen there only like that.
Oh God.
So now
Yeah.
you can't. So I'm just telling you,
Yeah. It's so difficult
you
to even
can't
imagine.
imagine. And to take a decision, you have to do that decision.
अगर
Because
हमने
at that time I weighed कि भाई मैं ये डिसीजन ले रहा हूँ, इसलिए ले रहा हूँ विद गुड फेथ कि कल को यार उसका पेरेंट्स, उसका रिश्तेदार, एटलीस्ट दे विल सी हिम.
Absolutely.
वो जो, और हमारे हिंदू धर्म में वो जो संस्कार करना है वो कितना कितना बड़ी चीज होती है।
Absolutely,
नहीं
absolutely.
तो हमेशा एक अफसोस रहता है जिंदगी में कि हम अपने बच्चे का या हमारे माँ बाप का या कहीं भी, जैसे कई बार एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है कि बॉडी नहीं मिलती, कहीं नहीं होती, तो सबसे बड़ी डिजायर ये होती है कि बॉडी मिल जाए।
ये बहुत बड़ी बात है सर. आई रिमेम्बर आर डेज व्हेन देयर वाज नो फैसिलिटी टू ब्रिंग द बॉडी बैक होम. वी यूज्ड टू
यस,
cremate our boys right on the borders itself.
यस, यस,
And your this decision, I'm sure it is off the orders and other things, but it is such a social order issue
हाँ,
that touches the humanity.
यस,
And a ritual is performed by the family. That's a great step, sir.
या, या, या। So what I'm trying to say is that it is such decisions have to be taken, and such are the adverse situations, and there could not be more adverse situation and hard decision making, let me tell you, than any other corporate decision or otherwise.
I salute you, sir, for such a command in such difficult areas, and people who listen to you, I'm sure they'll be able to understand the realities of life on the line of control in Siachen and other places. Now, let
Yes.
me take you beyond your command of the brigade, and as I see through your profile, from soldier, you became a corporate CEO yourself. You were a director and COO in two of the companies. How was that experience, and how did you use your soldiers' experience when you were in the corporate?
Jeevan, you see, when I hung up uniform, at that point of time, I was quite convinced in my mind that I have a lot of energy in me and a lot of fire, and also, frankly, responsibilities because my children were still studying. So I couldn't be sitting at home. So therefore, I took upon myself to join the corporate world. And I was so fortunate again that before 2 months before I was to retire, I had about three, four offers, mainly because I was in Delhi. So there was a more opportunity, I would say. And therefore, and since I knew I was retiring, so I was in touch with people. So one of these jobs was I picked up with a company. And it was just, and they asked me to join. I retired on the 31st of March. They said 1st April को आ जाओ. I said, यार मुझे give me. He says, okay sir, अगर ये है तो 13 अप्रैल ना बैसाखी ਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ है. For the Khalsa, this is a good day. So why don't you join on? So I also said, yes, okay, I'll join on. So I immediately, within 13 days gap of my army career, I went into the corporate career. But the very important thing, which has helped me, which helped me in the corporate career is, and this is a advice gave a lot of my colleagues who want to go and join the corporate world, uh, is that when on 13th I joined this company, I left my rank behind.
Right?
And that was the mantra of success.
Hmm.
I never thought or never get that feeling to anybody around me that I was a brigadier sub in the army, and this is what I used to travel in helicopters, and I had a guard, I had I just left that behind. And I thought that was the best way to succeed in the corporate. So that is lesson number one. And my sincere advice to people who leave the uniform and join the CV street, that this is very important to do. The second thing which and this is from my basic training from the infantry, that unless you do things yourself and on ground, don't believe anything else. As they say, na, that one look is equal to 1,000 reports.
Absolutely.
So therefore, unless you go on the ground to understand where the whole thing starts from,
Right.
you can never succeed
Mhm.
because it's such a new world.
Yeah.
I had to start from the beginning. And therefore, one should not feel कि ठीक है यार, मेरे पास आहिस्ता आहिस्ता मुझे पता लग जाएगा, समझ आएगा, मुझे बता, मैं ये रिपोर्ट पढ़ लूंगा, मैं उसकी ब्रीफिंग सुन लूंगा. नो,
Right. Mm.
you have to get into the company's operations from day one, from the beginning, कि होता कैसे है,
If
क्या
I
है.
if I may interject, sir,
हम्म,
uh, decision making is one very important factor that I've seen in your life and other military officers, which is very strong. In your case, it is very strong. I can say with conviction because I've been following you, seeing you, learning from you.
uh,
When you went into the corporate, if I may simply put it, were there issues of corporate leaders struggling with decision making vis-a-vis the military profile, military leadership taking decisions?
oh yes, definitely. You see, the while there is a very major difference of the implication of the decisions taken. While in the military, any decision taken relates to death, life of people,
Yeah,
which is not so in the corporate world.
right,
What will, but corporate world, it's financial, administrative, HR decisions, firing people, hiring people, like those decisions, and then of course financial decisions by the top management. But I find that uh, the corporate leaders, uh, and especially the top leadership, as I mentioned to you, that there is some kind of a hesitancy in taking a decision.
right.
Why? Because to my mind, at times I felt they think too much.
Hmm.
They will keep thinking this, that, yay, whoa. Acha, if that happens, then let's work on the PNL. Let's work on, how what is the marketing if this doesn't happen. They see more negative things than the positive things.
Right.
And therefore, they are unable to take a decision
Hmm.
at the right time. And I've also seen that those who take decisions, they reap the benefits quickly.
So you feel that at one place it is analysis to paralysis.
Yes.
On the other side, there are strong-willed people who would take decision based on available information, gut feeling, and then go.
Yeah. No, it's the same. You see, basically, my own experience is that majority of the management processes and protocols are actually borrowed from the army and the
Mhm.
defense services. That's what I felt and experienced. And but then you see, they are applied in a different manner,
Mhm.
because of the circumstances, the culture, whatever. But basic management and decision making processes are as good as the defense services. And they're taken from there,
Right.
basically.
Are there any of these military principles that you have seen, you have followed, and you've seen them in the corporate? Are there some of these military principles which are still missing in the corporate?
Yeah, the biggest thing which is missing is that people take too long to understand each other and form a team.
Right.
You see, so many, I mean, it's not only one company that I did a job with. Then there was a second one which was in a medical field. We were doing cardiac surgery through robos. That is what my second job was. I was training doctors, I was training nurses, I was training, people like that. And the first time, like an infantry soldier, as I told you, I was I was an OT with the doctor doing a robot operation,
Yeah.
cardiac operation in Fortis.
Excellent.
Uh, I mean, it's an experience out of the, and I didn't have to do it, but
Hmm.
I told the doctor, I said I want to be there.
Hmm.
He says, but why Brigadier Bedi? I said, because I am training people to do this.
Yeah.
We see. So whereas in the corporate world, if there's a HR guy, he doesn't even want to look at the finance guy. You see, the finance guy doesn't want to look at the marketing guy. they
I
work in their own silos. And
well,
therefore, what
yeah,
happens is, since they don't understand each other, so the briefing that they give to the top man is also, different. And therefore, it is very difficult for that top leader to make a decision.
that's absolutely, which is very different in the army. We interact at each level, each
Yes,
department
exactly.
on. So that's a great input from the corporate, sir. Let me take your journey ahead. You've been a wonderful sportsman. Adventure is in your blood. It oozes out actually. When I see more of your cycling, your fitness, your golfing, even before the podcast today, you were golfing.
Yes, I was.
And then you've been the founder in the Delhi Gymkhana Club of a very special sports. I actually heard for the first time from you, pickleball. So, how do you see this sports, fitness, and community building, which is essential to nation building?
You see, Jeevan, now, as you would have yourself realized, and even the world realizes today, that there is so much of awareness of fitness, health, good health, good eating, good habits, exercises, Uh, so I personally have always felt that there is no end to moving your body physically towards something which helps you to build up your own strengths, not only physically, but mentally.
Right.
And there could be nothing better than sports to do this. I've also felt that age is not a factor,
Oh,
and I proved it.
yes, you did.
I I am now, I'm not sort of boasting for myself, but even today, my average cycling, I do about 30 to 40 kilometers whenever I do it.
Excellent. Excellent.
And I winters it's a little restricted because of the fog and too much of cold. One has to be careful also. One can't be just boisterous and careless and get into some problem. After all, the age also matters at times. One has to be careful also. But with due caution, having done, I can in about 2 3 months of getting regularly doing this exercise. One has always attempted to do a 100 kilometers or a century ride
Beautiful.
at a very easy pace and like that. So I feel that you have to move yourself. If you restrict yourself into a room and become a couch potato and start seeing just TV, sitting on a mobile, your health is bound to suffer.
Mhm.
So that is my inspiration to do cycling. And then golfing, of course, it was a part of our life in the army. And golfing is, I must tell my your audience that golfing is not only a game; it's a way of life.
True. Very true.
You see, because golfing teaches you a lot of, and I have a lot of things to say. Probably we can have a separate session where
Sure.
I can relate the golf life into management
Oh, excellent.
and leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is absolutely every move in the golfing is a lesson for management. So, well, that we leave it to some other day. But now coming on to pickleball. You see, my children are settled abroad. So about 4 years back, I went. I mean, we go there every year. So it was about 4 years back when I found that this game has suddenly emerged in the US.
Mhm.
So I told my daughter that I also want to learn this. So we joined, a club there. So I started playing pickleball, and I found it very interesting. And I found that this is a game from the age of 8 to 80.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
therefore, when I came here, I said, why not introduce? So then I got in touch with some schools, and so they were kind enough to give me some place. So we made some courts. Some schools made them for themselves. So then I got hold of some instructors from Jharkhand where it was becoming very popular. So then we started, I ran a small academy here where we taught people, and you will not believe it, that within about 6 months of our training, there was a national held. and in which eight of our children won the gold medal.
Wow.
So it gives you tremendous satisfaction. It gives us tremendous satisfaction.
Excellent. Taking,
So that's how I keep myself busy.
yeah, go ahead, sir.
So that is how I said. And the other thing which keeps me busy is that, uh, again, providence leads me to certain decisions. You remember when we were in the services, we used to have this field post offices.
Ab-
And you remember this, there used to be civilian people on deputation with these post offices, you remember?
Yes.
So, one of these guys, when I was, I think, in Punch or somewhere, so he had come to me, and they have their targets to meet. So he had already come. वो एक बड़ी स्कीम चलती होती थी कि every month if you deposited 200 फलाना, it used to directly get transferred from your CDA
Yeah.
account, from your pay. So
Yes.
like this, so over the years you build up a little. So when I decided to come to Chandigarh after I finished my corporate career, the last one being the director of sports and defense in the PhD Chamber of Commerce, and the regional director here in Chandigarh. So we were told that now the post offices are closing, the field post offices, and the money is being transferred to the civil post office. So there is a very small village here nearby where I live in Panchkula. So they're called Madanpur. So I was told कि वहाँ के पोस्ट ऑफिस में सर आपका जो है वो पैसे ट्रांसफर हो गए हैं. So I went to find out and check. And that gentleman, he asked me to get a copy of the Aadhaar card for my identity, which I went to. So I just walked across and I found. So there was a small school, must be about two classrooms, but they were, full of children screaming going on. ये bro. So I suddenly stopped. I said, ये क्या है? तो they said कि सर ये ना गवर्नमेंट प्राइमरी स्कूल है. तो मैंने कहा यार ये इतने बच्चे, कमरे तो तुम्हारे दो ही हैं. तो कहते सर बस यही हालत है, हमें रिफ्यूज नहीं कर सकते, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द यमुना एक्सप्रेस हाईवे which has been constructed, so there was a lot of labor which came here, and therefore there where do the children go? So we have to admit them, and plus also the biggest attraction is that they have a midday meal scheme. So
Mhm.
if you're enrolled in a school, you're authorized to have
Absolutely.
that, you know. So I said, fine. So anyway, so I came back home and I just had a lot chat with the headmaster. I said, इधर क्या कहते हैं सर? मैंने कहा इधर कुछ करना हो तो क्या कर सकते हैं? वो कहते हैं सर देखो हमारे पास there are very various. I don't want to go into that much of detail, but there were certain things which we could do to improve the life of the children. So I don't know. I came back home, and my wife is a very religious person, so she had just got out of the the Babaji's room, and I went and told her कि भी ऐसे ऐसे ना I saw and this. So she says ਫਿਰ ਹੋਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ? ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਉਹ ਬਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਲਾ ਦਈਏ.
Oh, lovely.
So
Wise thought. That's how, that's
so
how I think Satvikam took birth, sir.
that is where Satvikam took birth.
Wow. God, what a pious thought and way to actually
Yeah.
put this society. But having being inspired by those children and
Yeah.
having started Satvikam Charitable Trust, how
Yeah.
we define your leadership role in such a such a humble manner in this society?
You see, Jeevan, when you see so much of, what can I say? I am finding a difficult word that when you find that the have-nots are so deprived that you feel कि यार how privileged we are,
Absolutely.
you
Very,
know, and when
very
you see the disparity, so I mean, I was moved by this actually.
right.
Believe it, there was no drinking water facility. They were drinking from the water tap. So we put up a proper water filter plant. The the floor was kacha. So we uprooted the whole thing, made it into pakka. Then we gave them mats and things like that. So, but then from there it went on. Then I ventured further कि भी और then I found कि यार ये तो इनके पास कपड़े नहीं है, इनके पास वो नहीं है, So then झुग्गियों में रह रहे हैं लोग. So that is how then the Sat
I
become
must
started.
compliment the leaders and people like you who have been through such rough times in army, and then you've been through corporate, and now you find a purpose of life of serving these so-called downtrodden or people who do not have.
Yeah.
I would love to continue with you for large number of such stories, anecdotes, and lessons that we can draw for ourselves and the nation as such. But we'll respect the time limit, and maybe some other day we'll plan on a lot of other expertise of yours to draw
Yes.
valuable lessons. Coming close, I'd like to seek your advice, one piece of advice or couple of them to the next generations and people who are struggling with purpose and who are struggling with direction.
Jeevan, my biggest message is that one, have faith in yourself.
Right.
And the second thing is be honest about your commitments. You will never go wrong.
क्या बात है. Absolutely. Faith and commitment. Two things will put you through the game of life in a most easy manner. Thank
Everything falls in place. Everything. You may be in the most adverse situation. If you have faith in yourself and you're honest to your commitment, things will work out always.
Excellent. Let me ask you quick biter questions. I'll request you to fill in the blanks to two of these statements. Uh, the hardest leadership decisions that Brigadier Bedi, who very fondly called as Peter Bedi, hardest leadership decisions that you have taken or you have faced was dash dash dash.
The hardest decision that I ever took was when, uh, in my second command, I was ordered to capture an enemy post, and despite all the adversaries and despite all the lack of the wherewithal, but just to keep the nishan and the izzat of the unit, I said yes to that decision.
Wonderful. Thanks. Continuing with the same question. You took that hard decision because cost of getting it wrong was dash dash dash.
The cost of that decision, had it gone wrong, was the life of one CO and 40 men within 5 minutes of the operation.
Oh, salute to you, sir.
And number two, I would have always had that stigma, would have had that stigma that since I did not belong to that battalion, I took that decision because of which such a catastrophe took place.
How true. How true of a leader, sir. Truly moving moment. My next fill in the blank statement for you. True leadership begins when dash dash dash.
When you face the most challenging situations.
Excellent. Even though no one is watching and nothing is guaranteed. That's the time.
Yes. When when you feel that there could be nothing more difficult than this, then that's the time the best comes in you.
Excellent, sir. The last reflective and a very strong question I think I'll put across to you.
Yeah.
When history looks back at your leadership, not your position, not your title, what will define who you were truly?
Uh, I would say that I will define myself as somebody ordained by the Almighty to do what I have done.
Wow. Thank you so much. And closing on with this one mic dropping question for you.
Yeah.
If you had to summarize the entire life's philosophy and leadership in one sentence for the next generation, what would it be?
Jeevan, I'm surprised that you have now become a very, very incisive questionnaire, you know. And you seem to beat all the professional broadcasters and interviewers now.
आपके सिखाए हुए हैं सर. The Jackriff Regiment and
uh,
the mentors of mine and yours who've given us this DNA.
yeah, you see the what I think what I mean it's very difficult to define in one kind of a sentence, but I would say that you see learning never ends,
Yeah.
and therefore keep learning, and therefore your leadership qualities, your personal qualities as a parent, as a friend, as a human being will always be wanting, and therefore keep learning.
Thank you so much. That has really been a very, very interesting, exhilarating, and very invigorating session with you, sir. With what humility and humbleness you conveyed your points, and the kind of I'm saying a soldier, a leader, and a true human, emotional man who could take such hard decisions in hardest times
Yes.
in war and peace is nothing else, nothing, no one else other than Brigadier Bedi could have done it. Lots of salute to you. The India would always remember brave soldiers like you, and I thank you immensely for joining me and blessing me and the entire country by sharing your thought process. Thank you so much.
Even once again, thank you so much. And once again, as I say, that it is all divine providence. It is He, it is some superpower, the Almighty, whomever we name Him, Allah, Vaheguru, Ram, whatever. All are the same, is one God. And it is He who ordains things for you, and that is how you do things. And therefore, I am grateful to Him. I am grateful to friends like you. I am grateful to my family. I am grateful to and I am very, very, I can humbly say that I owe everything. I owe everything, whichever has happened to me, good or bad, especially the good, to my men who I served with, who I grew up with, and who I learned a lot from.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you, Sam. You really touched the hearts of all of us. Every Indian would be actually mic dropping in this moment. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you.